Hola, ¿cómo está Las Vegas? And welcome to Chris Garcia with the Conservatives of America. It's such a blessing and day to be in the United States of America and have the greatest president in the world, Donald J. Trump, as our president. What I want to talk to you about today is the threats of North Korea and what's happening over there with their nuclear tests and their nuclear arsenal. It is extremely important that we pay close attention to what's going on in North Korea. It's extremely important. A lot of people are downplaying their nuclear abilities, but even by most standards, they are 2 years away from possibly having a nuclear bomb that could touch certain parts of the United States of America. They're saying that Iran is possibly 4 to 6 years away from having nuclear bombs that could touch the United States of America. If we all remember back in 2002, when George W. Bush was president, and shortly after 9/11, he talked about the axis of evil. And he was talking about Iran, Iraq, and North Korea. And of course, we all know that we went to war with Iraq and decimated most of their military, most of their military capabilities, especially their chemical warfare and possibilities and long-range missiles that they were trying to get to possibly attack Israel or some of our other foes. And of course, we decimated their military, and we still have troops there to this day. But it's pretty funny that almost 2 decades later, we're still talking about the axis of evil, and nothing has been done to stop North Korea or Iran from advancing their nuclear capabilities. The situation when Barack Obama was president, he made it so much worse, the deal that he cut with Iran, that basically did not stop them from continuing their nuclear program. It just put it off to another day. And I think that Donald Trump is going to have to deal with Iran and their nuclear capabilities. But what's even closer right now to home is what's going on in North Korea. They are not listening to China as far as I'm concerned. I don't know how much China is trying to derail their nuclear program. I don't think that anybody is on the United States side. I don't think that anybody is on America's side. I think that Donald Trump had better wake up and realize that even though he is getting along much better with the Chinese president than he thought that he would, and that they're actually talking about some fair trade agreements, I don't think China has the United States of America's best interests at heart. And I would like to be a fly on the wall when Chinese president is talking to the North Korean leader, and they're sitting down and talking about how they're going to pull back their nuclear program, because it is a definite threat to the United States. And I think everybody around the world is watching to see exactly how Donald Trump deals with North Korea. George Bush, his threat to his presidency was Iraq. His threat to his presidency was Saddam Hussein. And I think that it's very important for Donald Trump to deal with North Korea strictly. Because the one thing, we went through a period of peace when George Bush was president. After 9/11, the world saw the way George Bush dealt with Iraq, the way that he attacked Iraq, the way that he did not allow them to continue their chemical weapon program, to go after nuclear weapons. He went after them. And I think it was a very important thing that he did that. And I think that it's very important that Donald J. Trump deals with North Korea in the same way, that he goes after North Korea, that he does not allow their nuclear programs to continue to proliferate. I think that it would be a danger to the United States of America if it continued to proliferate. I think that it's something that needs to be dealt with immediately, and I think that they are getting very close to having nuclear weapons that are capable of reaching some parts of America. And I think that it's important that Donald Trump deals with that immediately. I really do. I think that he is doing a very good job. He is definitely, one thing I like about him, instead of going to the Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, D.C., he went to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and talked directly to his base, talked directly to his people. I think that he is going to maintain 90 to 95% of his base in the next presidential election. And then I think, again, it will be a fight for people that are on the fence. It will be a fight for independence. I think what Donald Trump does in the next 4 years or so, those people on the fence will either come over to his side or they will go back and they will vote Democrat in 4 years. So I think it's very important that he continues to solidify his base, but at the same time that he goes after the independents and that he does things. He moderates some of what he wants to do, some of what he goes after, that he moderates it, and that he talks directly to the independents. I think on immigration, I think on tax reform, it is very important for Donald Trump for there to be a middle class tax reform. I think that it cannot just be where it's the top 2 or 3% in the country that are getting tax reform. I think it's very important for middle America to receive a tax break. I think that is very important. I think those are the people in Michigan and Indiana and Ohio and Pennsylvania and upstate New York, in North Carolina and Virginia, and coal mining country in West Virginia, Kentucky. Those are the people that need a tax break. And I think that you cannot just have a trickle-down tax break, although I think that it is very important for some of the business tax rates and some of the tax cuts to be cut, because it is the corporate America is paying too much in taxes comparably to having a corporation move to Mexico or to India or to something like that. It's very, very, very expensive for you to have a business and to have a corporation in the United States of America. I think that it is very important for businesses to get tax breaks, for people that create jobs to get tax breaks. I think it's very important. You can't tax those people out of this country. You can't punish people for being successful and for being rich. That just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So I think it's very important they get tax breaks, but I also think it's very important for middle America, for those people on the fence, for those people that vote, to get tax breaks. I think that it's very, very important. And I think that Donald Trump needs to continue to talk to his base, needs to continue to fire up his base, but at the same time, he needs to talk to those people that are going to be voting in 4 years, those independents that are on the fence and maybe voting for him this time because they wanted a change. They wanted things to be different from Barack Obama. They didn't necessarily believe in Hillary Clinton. But I believe in 4 years that the Democrats will have a formidable opponent. I think they will have an opponent with much less weaknesses than Hillary Clinton. I said it from the beginning. I think she was the most flawed candidate that has run in since I can remember. And I think that Bernie Sanders, had he been given a fair chance, I think Bernie Sanders would have beaten Hillary Clinton in the Democratic primaries. And of course, he won a lot of states and a lot of delegates. And it was proven that the Democratic Party was behind Hillary Clinton, was feeding her questions at the debates, and it continued on through the presidential debates. And I feel like it was all one-sided for Hillary Clinton to win. If Bernie Sanders had been given a fair shake, I think he would have beaten Hillary Clinton. I think he actually would have been a stronger opponent against Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton. So I think it's very, very, very important for Donald Trump to get to his base and definitely keep his base, but to talk to those independent, talk to those what they call Reagan Democrats in the Midwest that I think he won over this time. The same people, the same counties that Barack Obama carried in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania, Donald Trump turned around and won those same counties. So I think it is very important that those Reagan Democrats receive tax breaks, that they receive vouchers as far as schools and having school choices for their children. Of course, those people are very worried about national security. They're worried about the military, and they're worried about immigration. They want to see something done. I think it is very important for him not to back off of building the wall, for him not to back off on closing our borders. I think that it is a very, very, very important thing for him to do. And I think he needs to keep his word to the American people. I think that the United States of America needs to have a secure wall. I think that our borders need to be secure. I think we need to know who's coming in and out of our country and for what. So I think it's extremely important for him to do that, and for there to continue to be dialogue as far as the United States of America, as far as closing our borders, and as far as having that wall continue to be dealt with and to be started to build. I think the Democrats, and I think even a lot of Republicans, are going to do everything in their power to not allow in this new tax reform for there to be money delegated to the wall. And I think that Donald Trump, if he does not get the money to get the wall built, needs to make a really, really, really big deal about it, because what will happen is that if our security is threatened, if our security of our country is compromised, and if in a year or two that we have an attack, God forbid, in this country, and terrorists come up through the South, come up through the Mexican border, and we have some sort of a domestic or terrorist attack in our country, Donald Trump can stand on a soapbox, he can stand on a platform and say, that's exactly what I was talking about. We needed to have our borders closed. We needed to be more secure in our country. And I wanted to put it in the new tax plans, the new tax reform, and I was outvoted. I did not get the money that I wanted to give to the wall. I did not get the money that I wanted to have more Border Patrol agents. I did not get the money that I needed to secure our borders and make America safe again. So I think it is very important that he continue to talk about border control. I don't think he talked enough to me as far as Obamacare being repealed and replaced. I think that was very important. I think that got off to his presidency to kind of a rocky start. And I think he allowed the Democrats and even some Republicans, even Paul Ryan, I think he allowed them to take victory in defeating him. It is not a victory when you have Obamacare as the health care plan in this country, as the health care plan for most middle-class Americans. Obamacare is not the answer. Premiums are going up 100, 115% in certain states. Obamacare is not the answer to health care. There are a lot of better ideas and better programs out there, unfortunately. I don't think that the Republicans worked hard enough on coming up with another program. It is the United States. Listen, voters know that Obamacare is a disaster. A lot of people are going to their mailboxes and seeing their premiums go up 100, 115%, like in Arizona, They know that Obamacare is never going to have enough people in the system to pay for it. So it's going to fold under its own weight, and everybody knows that. The problem is what are we going to have to replace it? Repealing it is one thing. Most people agree with that. I think even most senators and House members, Republicans and Democrats, know that it's a bad idea. Let's make no mistake about it. That was not something that was passed. Barack Obama used his executive pen to make it an executive order and push Obamacare down people's throats. And now we're seeing the horrible, horrible consequences of having Obamacare in the workplace, having Obamacare as far as that's the choice. It chooses the doctors that you can have in your health care plan. You don't have more choices. You have less choices. And I think definitely they felt like it was a victory because he was not allowed. He did not get the votes, Donald Trump, to replace Obamacare. It's definitely going to be repealed. It's going to be repealed under its own weight, even if Donald Trump does absolutely nothing. Maybe we cannot continue to pay for Obamacare. And it's going to be proven to be a horribly flawed plan. The problem is that I think he trusted people to work on a good enough plan to get through the Senate that would replace Obamacare. And that's where he put his trust in the wrong people. He put his trust in the leadership of the Republican Party under Paul Ryan. And of course, that bill was defeated mightily. And it was an embarrassment for our president, Donald Trump. I think he has learned from that. And I think not only he's not the type of person, he doesn't want to come off like Obama. He's not an idealist. He doesn't want to use the executive pen and just write executive orders and just go past trying to stop. He's not negotiating with people. That is his thing, the art of the deal. He loves to sit down with people, get ideas, trade facts back and forth, and come up with the best possible plan and best possible solution that he can. That's what makes Donald Trump so popular. And that's why over 65 million Americans voted for him to become president of the United States. So I think it's very important that he still has the ability to sit down and negotiate. But what I would tell him is don't be afraid to use that executive pen. I think when it comes to Obamacare, I think when it comes to tax reform, I think when it comes to building that wall, that is three instances where I would use the power of the presidency and use the executive pen and write executive orders, because I don't think we can continue to have our safety compromised on our northern or southern borders. I think that there is no doubt that radical Islamic terrorism is so good to finally have an administration that will actually say those words, radical Islamic terrorists, because that's exactly what they are. And I'm very afraid that they are going to use our open borders to infiltrate our country if they have not already. and begin attacks like we're seeing in Europe all over the United States of America. I don't want anybody to stand up and say, I told you so. I don't want Donald Trump to say that. I want it to be stopped before it started. Illegal immigration is down for the fourth straight month in this country. Border Patrol is saying that there are less illegal immigrants even attempting to come into this country because they know that they have a president here now that will deal with their illegal immigration and make it much, much harder for them to try and come back to this country again. And I think that that's wonderful. It starts at the top. We have a president that is not going to allow illegal immigrants, especially criminals, to come into our country. We have the Border Patrol agents finally feel like they have the support from the presidency and they're appreciated at the job that they do. They're getting raises. They're getting better equipment. They're getting more boots on the ground, which has to make them feel good. I mean, they talked about how few agents they are per capita, how many people are trying to come into this country and how many miles on the southern border. They definitely need reinforcements, and I think the number one reinforcement that our Border Patrol, our Southern Border Patrol needs is a wall. They need a permanent structure that stops people from coming into this country or makes it very, very, very difficult to get into this country. So I think that that's something that he should learn from because if he does not get the money for that wall, you can better believe that the Democrats, the liberals on CNN and MSNBC and all those stations will be all over the news saying, he told you he was going to do all of these things. He said he was going to repeal and replace Obamacare, that he was going to do all of these things, and he hasn't gotten any of these things done. So I think it's very important that Donald Trump puts up a big, big, big stake if he does not get the money to build that wall. I think it's extremely important that he does that he puts up a big stake about it, and that he lets the American people know that he is trying to get money to build the wall to keep America safe, and he was voted down. I think that that's just extremely important that he does that, and that he just doesn't take the defeat, and that he doesn't trust people. He doesn't trust members of the Republican Party to get this done for him. This is something that he needs to get done. I think that it's very, very, very important. And if it does not get passed, that he lets the American people know exactly why and by who it was not passed. So that if we have an attack or something goes wrong in this country, that it is shown that he did everything that he possibly could to get the funding for the border, and these senators and these House members, whether it be Republican or Democrat, voted him down. So I think that that's very, very, very important. We got about 2 minutes left in the program, and I just want to tell you that, once again, write to your senators, write to your congressmen, write to your House members, and let them know how you feel about what's going on in this country. Let them know how you feel about keeping America safe, about making America great again. Do not let them off the hook. Do not let them off the hook. We do not want to have an attack in this country. We do not want to have something go wrong in this country. We need to get that border wall built. We need to repeal and replace Obamacare. We need tax reform for the rich and for the middle class so that we can uplift the people in our country that are struggling, the poor, people that are on welfare. We need to get them off the welfare rolls and get them onto work rolls. I think that's very important. And we need to stimulate that economy. And one of the ways you do that is by tax cuts for the wealthy and tax breaks for the middle class so that they can, catch up with their bills, so that they can pay their mortgages, so that they continue to send their kids to college. It is very expensive to send your kids to school and for them to get a better education so that they can have a good life. It's very important. So I just hope that, Donald Trump is doing his due diligence. I know he's a very hard-working president, but he needs to keep an eye on North Korea. I think that could be a very tense situation over there, and who knows what they're going to do. And I think the United States needs to be prepared for North Korea, and we need to deter them from getting a nuclear bomb that can attack the United States of America. Thank you so much for watching today. God bless America, God bless our troops, and Godspeed to our President Donald Trump. Thank you.